We need a way to like play our intro on the live. Thoughts?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like that idea.
Thoughts.
It's
Just
like
throwing it out there.
when the news comes in, they always have that little jingle,
Yeah.
and
Dun,
then they're
dun,
like,
dun,
"Hi,
dun,
I'm
dun,
called.
dun, dun, dun,
I'm
dun.
Jenna."
Yeah, something like that. Except for our jingle doesn't have to sound like
Yeah,
so
it's not like
official.
interrupting a conference at a library.
Yeah, like that.
Um,
So, yeah, I'd say you recently had an interesting series of events happen to you.
all right, strap in,
I'd
strap
love,
in.
I'd love to get your perspective, your side of the story, because I have received one of the three perspectives so far.
So
Fill everybody in.
okay, I was trying to. James just won Radio Bingo. I was trying to see if I could tune into
Radio
104.9
bingo.
to hear his name being drawn. Anyway,
Shit. Congratulations, James.
okay.
For more than one reason, no? Because they now have the. Am I thinking of the right
Yes.
person?
Yeah, yeah. They have a baby.
Yeah, they have a baby. A baby boy? Does the baby boy have a name?
A baby boy does have a name.
Do we know what it
Baby
is?
boy's name is not common knowledge,
Oh, okay. So we're not sure.
and I am a commoner.
Top secret.
So you no have the name.
Oh, you don't even know. Okay, gotcha.
No. And James was on Call of Duty last night, with his baby beside him, kind of
Oh
thing.
my.
And
Okay.
it was really cool, like just hearing like the baby sounds again, stuff like
The
that.
little pterodactyl noises, they call them.
And it's like, fuck, how quickly your life changes, when you have a fucking baby. Anyway,
Those sounds, anybody who's had a baby knows the sounds, and it like brings you right back to when
yeah,
you were
time
holding.
travel is real,
Yeah.
and and it only ever sucks.
Ooh, bing. And on that bombshell, you
So,
can't get on the radio with him. Not with
well, so
him.
he was playing, but you could hear him talking to his baby, and I was like, James, you got to stop. And he was thinking I was talking about waking up the baby. I was like,
Mm.
no, you're accidentally going to say the kid's name while you're talking to him, and we're not supposed to know it yet.
It's like
Uh,
proper top secret.
well, he was telling us that he got in trouble from Emma because he wasn't supposed to. They weren't. I don't know. The gender reveal information was supposed to be more coordinated than how James did it. So
Okay.
they found out. He texted our group chat almost right away, and I was like, "Are you serious?" And he goes, "Oh shit, I'm sorry, I forgot." He's just so excited. And then his brother-in-law, Emma's brother, comes to visit, and he's helping James do yard work, and I guess they're chatting. And James is like, "Hey, you want to see your nephew's nuts?" Oh fuck! He just keeps spoiling it that
He's
they're
like,
gonna
I
have a
wasn't supposed to say anything.
yeah. And so I was just trying to help him not reoffend.
Not spoil. Yeah.
I'm not going to say Emma's running a tight ship, but it sounds
But
an
she
awful
is.
lot like Emma's running a tight ship.
It sounds a lot like it. Okay. Well, hopefully she's listening to us in the wee hours of her postpartum experience.
And if she is, huge congratulations, Emma.
Yes.
What a wonderful, amazing thing you've done. You've made the world a better place already. Society will determine if your child follows through with that promise to make the world a better place or becomes a shovel killer. But yeah,
Time
as a
will tell.
parent, you have a lot less to do with the outcome of your child, I think, than you realize.
I think so. Yeah.
Because by the time they're 4, super impressionable, and you ship them off for 8 hours a day. It's like, don't worry, I'll let the government tell you what you should think.
Yeah, and then it ultimately becomes the coaches, teachers, and other adults,
Friends, yeah,
friends, parents, yeah, in their lives that become the main
influence
roles. Yeah,
yeah.
influence for sure. Yeah.
All right, so went camping this past weekend,
Uh-huh.
and
Where
I went with
to,
Jordan
Colin?
and Jordan. We went to Algonquin Park, and we put in at Lake Travers. which we found out.
Can we screen share this
Oh, I
and
wonder
pull
if
up a
yeah,
map
I can pull up.
for those listening to us live and those watching us later in the
I actually think
recording?
I have a Jeff's map.
Fucking awesome, dude. And for all the non park goers, they can get a little eye candy of the map over here.
No, that's a really great idea. I don't know why I didn't think of it sooner. So this is an older version of the map, but it'll work.
You know, Jordan says I sometimes have great ideas.
Hey? Sorry, what'd you say?
I said sometimes. I said Jordan says I sometimes have great ideas.
Oh yeah. Okay, I'm gonna try and share this.
I should rephrase that. He admits sometimes that I have great ideas. I think that's more correct.
Can you see this?
Whoa! Is this all of Algonquin Park?
So if you're listening in, I'm just pulling up Jeff's map of Algonquin Park. Really great resource if you're looking to go camping. And their newer version, this is an incredible map. Their newer version is way more incredible. It's incredible.
Sorry, Jeff's map or the new Algonquin Park map?
The new Jeff's Algonquin
There's
Park
a new
map.
Jeff's Algonquin map. Okay.
Yeah.
Yours is version 5.0. What are they at now? Do you know?
I'm going to say 5.1.
Okay.
Um,
So this is still very much up to speed.
No, I said I'm going to say. I don't know if that is or not.
Oh, okay.
What are we at here for Jeff's maps? It doesn't say, but it's a lot easier to get the paper ones now than it used to be. It used to be much harder.
Which, when you're in a place that has no cellular connectivity, you'd think that a paper map would be more available. Sorry, so you're zoomed at a 6% scale.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna sort that
just out. For people listening and those watching who haven't clued in on this. This is very far out, guys. This is a large area.
It includes the whole park, and
Yeah.
then there's the necessary surrounding areas to make it a square. So if you're looking at Algonquin Park, like Lake Opeongo is this big body of water right here.
Big. Yep.
And like one trip we put in at the bottom of Lake Opeongo and canoed up to the North Arm. That took us, I think, 4 or 5 hours to do. And we've been all over the park. We've probably covered at least 60% of the park's lakes.
Okay.
Through our previous trips. So we're pretty experienced.
Well versed, yeah.
But we learned that we're not very experienced.
Okay.
So I'm going to zoom in a bit. Go ahead.
What would make it like a more what's the word? What would make you a more experienced camper? Just doing it more?
Well, you have to have the experiences to learn about them.
Okay.
And I think this is one of the experiences. So this is the route we did. We put in here at Lake Travers, which is on the east side of the park. And then we're doing a clockwise circle. We're going up the Petawawa River, down the Crow River, and across whatever this one is to Lake Lavier. That was day one. And it's only 33 kilometers. So
only. Some people don't travel that in a week.
Well, and again, like we've done this progressively. So we've started off small, and every year we kind of do a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. And we kind of, I won't say we found our limit per se, because I think there's a few factors that make this one different, namely the Petawawa River. It's a much bigger river than we anticipated. I know Jordan spent a lot of time looking at the map. We don't know anything about the Crow or the White River, so we couldn't really comment on those. But Jordan had definitely been very aware that this was a much bigger route than we've ever done before.
Yeah, massive.
And then the Petawawa River, we had to go upstream. We were going to go upstream for half the trip no matter which direction we went. So we kind of made the arbitrary choice to start at Travers and go up the Petawawa
Just tackle
River.
it first day.
Yeah, and then go Lake
over with.
Lavier for one night, and then keep going west up the Crow River, Big Crow Lake, and then onto Hogan's Lake and camp.
Yeah.
Now we've camped on Hogan's Lake before, and then that whole Saturday arm or Saturday leg of the trip to get from Hogan's Lake up north to Radiant Lake, we've done before as well. We've done that whole section before, and we've been on Hogan and Radiant and Big Crow Lake before. And then we're just going to come back from Radiant down to Lake Travers, which apparently is pronounced Travers, not Travers. So if you're around Greg Broom, make sure you get it fucking right.
Okay.
And then
Lake Travers.
So it was 23 kilometers on water, 10 kilometers portaging. Now we've done 10-kilometer portage days before, and I'm pretty sure we've done 23 or thereabout kilometer water days before.
Okay.
But big thing here, big difference is going up river, and the Petawawa River is much bigger than the Madawaska River or McDonald Creek or other such areas that we've been on before that have very similar drawings on the maps.
Okay.
So they kind of like, without looking at the river, you're like, okay, it's going to be around, there's going to be a lot of the sections that are going to be the same size. But I mean, you zoom in on this Petawawa River and it's way bigger.
You've gone too far from your microphone.
If you zoom in on the Petawawa River here, it's a lot bigger. I'm sure Jordan recognized that. I didn't go into that kind of detail, which I should have, but it's way bigger. And
like width wise, just like overall scale,
it's wider.
Okay.
And so there's more water flow, and so it's harder to canoe upstream. And there is a fuck ton of rapids, so the water's moving pretty fast as well. It was raining like a motherfucker, and we got from.
And they said the I think water is exceptionally high for this.
Yeah, it's pretty early in the season too.
Okay.
And so water's pretty high still. We were looking at the high water mark on the rocks where we were camping.
Okay.
And it was already up probably like 5 or 6 inches higher than what it was.
Oh geez.
When we went through. And then just the next day when it stopped raining, the water had gone down again.
Okay.
So the water's pretty high. So if you can see here, am I still sharing the screen?
Yep.
So number 23, this is where we came in, we parked the car and portage right away around these rapids. And this section of the portage was okay. It was, we did 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. So either here or here in between two of the portages. Jordan and I had switched in the canoe. So normally he would be up front and I'd be steering in the back, but we
Devil's
switched.
Cellar Rapids, I think he said, is what where it got real dicey.
Okay. In any case, at one of these sections coming off the water onto the portage, I want to say it was this one or this one. I got out of the canoe, I grabbed my bag, I grabbed his bag, but the canoe started drifting off of the shoreline, and the shoreline was rock. It wasn't dirt or mud or many rocks. It was one giant rock, and it actually went straight down into the water, and it was pretty deep. So you could imagine on this rock, if you could just do a pencil dive straight down right in front of you. Anyway, Jordan's gripping this rock with his hands, and the canoe starts drifting away from the shoreline. And this is one of those things that we talked about this whole trip after the fact many times, and we were wondering what, if any, role us switching in the canoe played. I think in this case it was pretty obvious. Like we weren't used to the canoe behaving differently. He's bigger, so when I got out, the canoe sunk on his end and raised on my end, and that's what allowed it to drift much faster away from the shoreline than it may have.
Sorry, would you normally be like the person at the front gets out first, typically, right?
Yeah, and that's what we did.
Okay.
I got
Okay.
out first. I was in the front this time.
Yeah.
Like I said, we'd switched, right?
Yeah.
And so he was leaning over, trying to hold the canoe against the shoreline, and it was letting water into the canoe. And anyway, I ran and I jumped and I tried so hard to save the canoe, but as I got to the water, it had gotten over the point of no return, and it went, it capsized, and then I was underneath the river, in the river with the canoe on top of me. Anyway, so I was completely soaked
And
at
he
that point.
said he remembers the rapids being like very close behind you. And
Yeah.
his worry was that you would get swept away.
Well, I think this was the next one.
Oh, then okay.
I mean, he can correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm understanding correctly though. Like, there was kind of pretty much rapids in between all of these sections.
Yes.
You're not more than 500 or 600 meters from a set of rapids for the first like
that whole stretch,
10K of the river kind of thing. Yeah.
Right.
And then it opens up a bit more, but the more it opens up, the faster the water's going, kind of thing. Not true. It should be going faster the narrower it gets, but that's besides the point. So we tipped the canoe. We fixed that, got out of the water. We're fine. Finished the portage, get into the water again, and this was our this was going into our last portage of the day. We didn't know it at the time. We had many more portages to do, but you can see going from Travers all the way up, we had to go to this little junction here and then head down south along the Crow River, which I think would have been more tenable, but you can see like it's still pretty. This is much more narrow. This is much more like what I think we were expecting.
Where does it indicate flow on the map?
These arrows here.
Okay, so Crow River would have been against flow as well.
Yeah, so like I said, we were kind of fucked either way.
Yeah.
So anyway, we have to cross the river. So I think we're going from this portage to this portage.
Like
so
at
we're
an
going
angle. You have to go from
we're on this portage. We enter the river on the south side of the river, but the next portage, we have to enter the portage on the north side of the river.
Okay.
And so we had to cross the river to get there, and you can see on the map. I'll zoom right in. There's rapids here. Rocky Chute Raps to our left.
Yeah.
And Devil's Cellar Raps to our right.
Woo!
So we're going south to north, which means Rocky Chutes on the left of us and Devil Cellars on the right. Now we can see this stream of fast water that we're trying to get across, and it's not like we ignored it. It's not like we didn't think about it. We talked about it. We came up with a plan, and we went for it. It just didn't pan out, and we were thrown into the water. And you can see the distance between these two rapids is probably in the 300 to 400 meter range. So not super duper far between them, and the whole thing is like maybe 100 to 200 meters across, probably 250 at the widest point here. Anyway, my biggest fear came true. We're in the water, we're floating barely. We're holding on to the canoe a bit. The bags are floating away, the paddles are floating away, we're floating away, and we're all floating downstream
towards
we were able to grab the bags, we were able to grab the paddles, and we were able to swim to shallow water and stand on rocks on the riverbed and wait for Jordan to come rescue us. I was very close to cutting my boots, not cutting, but trying to get my boots off because they were starting to pull me down. It was getting really hard to swim with them on. And we got to, like I said, we got to that shallow water somewhere in this area here.
Yeah.
And just north of this bulbous part of the river. And, you know, catching our breath and just collecting our thoughts and being pretty grateful that the shallow water was there. And then we had a second canoe. Jordan came over, helped us flip up our canoe. We got our bags sorted, got us sorted, got to the shoreline. We did this portage, this 275-meter one.
Mm-hmm.
And then we canoed up this stretch of river to this campsite, just south of Bypass Falls, which were really pretty. Like, this was a
Was that a
beautiful
little
spot.
bit quieter? Like, was the water a bit more manageable, or was it still like treacherous at that point?
This water, because it was much wider, was much more manageable.
Wider. Okay.
And we kind of came in on this area here. Jordan and I stayed as far away from the fast water as we could.
Yeah.
And I mean, we were grateful to. We kind of talked before the portage, like, we'll get to the next campsite and then we'll regroup and we'll figure out what we're going to do from there.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I mean, if I zoom back out again, this is where we ended the trip.
Mm-hmm.
So we're maybe like, it took us an hour and a half to get that far.
Right.
And that includes both capsizings.
Yeah.
And we still had, close to 25 kilometers to go
Ahead of you. And so
Yeah.
if you were to like multiply that distance by
So
an
I was
hour and a
like,
half, an hour and a half, an hour
yeah,
and a half,
and that's exactly what I
that would
did in
have
the
been
math.
like, yeah,
I went an hour and a half here.
8 hours.
That's 3 hours. So we got an hour and a half to here, 3 hours to there,
Yeah.
5.5 hours to here. And then by the time we did the math, we were out of sunlight. So,
Mm-hmm.
or out of daylight.
Mm-hmm.
We had 7 hours roughly. But thank God this happened, to be honest, because if we would have pushed on, it would have been dark on the lake. It would have been wet on the lake, and it would have been really difficult to get a fire going and get camp set up.
And you were in a spot, I think, that like had nobody booked. Like nobody was booked there. So
no,
right?
Nobody was booked there. We had a gentleman come through from Radiant Lake.
Oh, okay.
But he came down this way from Radiant Lake
With the flow.
and he came through our portage, but that was the only person we saw. And then the next day we saw some park rangers coming in, checking stuff out. And the next week, I guess it would have been this week, were being flown into Lake Lavier to do their jobs there while we were trying to fucking canoe.
Wow.
So yeah, we spent Friday, beautiful day Friday, at this campsite with like these big like flat rocks going down to the water kind of thing, so you could lay out everything, dry it out, flip it, whatever. And we went for a hike on this rail bed. This is actually the rail bed that Jordan and he portaged the canoe all the way back. We didn't go in the water at all on the way back.
Right.
So we took the rail bed, hopped on to this bit here, I think it was.
Okay.
And then I don't know, the new map has better
like it shows that
better road trail, kind of thing.
Okay.
Anyway,
wow.
So yeah, this is Radiant Lake here. This is where that guy was airlifted from.
Yeah, so for those who haven't been keeping up with the stories, is it worth sharing the omen that you saw that told you to stay?
Here was the biggest problem for us was that we had to make a decision about the trip. And I was fairly confident in my mind that I was very comfortable to walk away from the trip. I was like, you know what, that was
a near-death
I don't know
experience.
what Broom saw, but I know that for me that was a pretty close to near-death experience, as close as I want to be to one if it wasn't. Because we weren't wearing life jackets. That was probably the only thing that I disliked about the experience, was that the only dumb decision we made was not wearing life jackets. Everything else was just bad luck. But we were really hammering ourselves like, fuck, I wish are we bitching out here? Are we tapping out when we should be pushing on or whatever?
And I see.
I said there are no alternatives in history. We can't go back and wonder what the world would have been like if if the Germans won the war or whatever. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
It's impossible. There's too many variables. It's hard to know that you've made the right decision looking back sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but I've never been more inundated with proof that I made the right choice. The
Right.
choice we made was to not cancel the trip, but we just stayed 2 nights
Stayed there.
on
Yeah.
that site. We came out Saturday, and the series of events that took place from that decision were incredible. We were sitting on the rocks, enjoying a coffee, letting our stuff dry out, and this bald eagle flew like this whole section of the river right in front of us
Mm-hmm.
from east to west. And I was like, if that's not a sign that we made the right choice, I don't know what is. Um, there are a lot of bald eagles in Canada, but for a bald eagle to show up that day and fly right across us, I took that to be a good omen.
Like this is a safe place.
Or like keep going the way you're going because it's the right thing to do.
Okay.
Because we
And
considered
then
like, what if we just bash onto Lavely and then come back? But
okay.
coming out on Saturday was the right thing to do. It started raining when we were loading up the trucks into the canoe. There was one section of road when we were coming out.
Oh look, there's an emergency helipad right there
Handy
for
dandy.
you guys if you had decided to stay.
I don't know which road it was, but there was water on this side of the road and it was flowing over
Oh,
to the other side.
washed
And
out.
it wasn't washed out yet, but it was going to be.
Okay. Okay.
And then, we get home and Cassie showing me like tornado radar stuff, and everywhere we were going to be was in the red on the
She's
radar.
very concerned. Yeah.
I saw Reddit posts of trees and roots pulled out Lake Opiongo, which is just
Oh my god.
southwest of where we were going to be on Lake Lavier and directly south of Hogan Lake, where we were camping
Yeah.
the second night.
Yeah.
And then there was a gentleman just north of Radiant Lake had to be airlifted out.
Airlifted out.
And
They were
then,
trapped in their campsite.
yeah,
Or
and
he
then there
got
was
crushed by
hundreds
a
of
tree overnight. Was that there was a woman, like a mom and son were out camping
yeah, I don't
and
remember the detail. Oh, he had a heart attack.
heart attack. I heard they got like he got crushed by a tree. Maybe
And then
that
maybe
both
that
of
gave him a
those
heart
things
attack. I don't
happened.
know.
But yeah,
Either way, uh,
multiple reports came in of like dire situations
yeah,
in the park
and then all the campers stranded in the park after the
because they
storm
couldn't get out.
because of all the washed out roads and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were like, damn,
And they said it would be days.
really, eh? That's
Days
crazy.
for
I
some
didn't
of
hear that
them to
part.
get them out. Yeah, cuz like you have to track down where they are. Like they have to track
Hmm.
down who's still in the park, right? Cuz they have
Hmm.
people who have like registered to be there, but then it's like, okay, who showed up? Who's still here? Who has left? Go track down the people who are still here. Where
Hmm.
did they get to? Maybe they did what you guys did and had to stop early, go to a different lake or campsite. You know what I mean? So it's like,
The nice thing about running into we there was a park warden or ranger or whatever driving around
mm-hmm,
in his truck when we got to the put in site,
mm-hmm,
and we were giving him the rundown of our trip, and you like by everything about his body language said uh
impossible.
yeah, it's like good luck fellas.
Yeah.
um and his name is Nick.
Okay.
And when we saw the park rangers come across our site, they were checking like the thunderbox and stuff like that, and then
Okay.
they went up past another portage and checked a few more and then came back through. um but I was like, yeah, he goes, oh yeah, you're those guys. I'm like, yeah, you tell Nick that we decided to post up and and dry out our shit instead of
Mm-hmm.
carry on. And honestly, in those moments, in those conversations, I was like, God, we're so dumb, we're the idiots, we shouldn't have done this. And looking back now, I realize like we are actually not even like, I don't feel that at all anymore. I feel like we made the
Okay.
absolute right fucking choice because we
Yeah.
were not in the park. Not saying that everyone else made bad decisions, because they also
No,
weren't in the
but
same
they didn't
situation we
run
were in.
into, yeah, like they didn't
Yeah.
run into the pickles that you ran into
Mhm.
early on, probably, right?
Exactly. So
Hmm.
we
You escaped.
we escaped. We did.
Yeah.
I'm grateful to for I'm grateful that Cassie and the kids and you and Aaron, they didn't have to worry
Hmm.
that we were in the park while all this was going on,
Hmm.
especially when it's impossible to reach out and say, "Hey, we're in the park. Everything's big storm, but we're okay," kind of thing.
Hmm.
It would have been like white knuckle ride until we got out and got cell service, and that's way too long for you guys to
Truly.
be like, "Oh shit."
Are they okay? Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that was quite the ordeal. Very
Yeah.
stressful.
Yeah.
Um, it took us. I brought chemical tablets, chemical fire starters, and I'm so glad I did, because I don't think we would have got a fire going on Thursday, and we needed
Without
that
it, because it
fire.
was so wet.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
but we're fucking amazing at fires. We're so good at fires. We're so fucking good at fires. I cannot believe how good we are at
Aw,
fires.
Faustmeister.
Mm. Yeah, Faustmeister came out to play.
Hmm.
I mean, he didn't Faustmeister the Thursday fire. I did, and Jordan
Hmm.
did.
Hmm.
But Broom was quite confident. He's like, I think we're just gonna have a light smudge for the night because everything was so wet. I was like, buddy, if we don't get this fire going, I'd rather die. I'm soaked to the fucking bone, man. I need warmth. And the bugs were horrendous. It was
Oh God, yeah. We need the
I don't think I've
yeah.
ever had that many bug bites.
Yeah, Jordan came home. He was demolished, like eaten alive.
Mhm.
I've never seen somebody look like that from bugs. That's yeah.
Yeah, the only thing we
He's like,
lost,
I used my bug spray. I'm like, well, clearly the bugs don't give a rip about your
they
bug
don't give
spray.
a rip. I
Yeah.
I lost my hat and my chapstick, which were serious
And your
serious losses.
chapstick. Isla would
So,
agree with you. She can't live without, she calls it lipstick.
yeah, I can't
Yeah,
live with a
she can't.
lipstick. And
She
my
can't live
fucking I got long, beautiful hair.
without. Okay.
For those who can't see, it's gorgeous. It's a gift from God, really. And but the bugs love it, and so I had to wear my buff all fucking weekend. So I
Sick.
was just like, my head was hot, my bug bites all around my hairline, all the way around, and then.
Okay.
But I mean, this could have been many different things. I was like, maybe these pushing ourselves trips are going to be parlayed into fishing trips or something. But I think the overall message, we recognize that it was okay to just it was boring at times, but to
Okay.
sit around and do nothing. I think we would have been okay if we had a case of beer. Um,
Yeah, Jordan mentioned that too. He's like, fuck, wish we'd
that's the
known that
only
we'd
thing that
do
made
this
it.
because we would have brought more beer. Yeah.
And of all the things we could have lost, we didn't lose a single beer of the ones that we
Ah,
did bring.
ah.
So we also know how to pack.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the bags float, which was incredible. But
Yeah, he was telling me that I guess you had this epiphany of when you were learning how to survive in the wilderness through the military. And yeah, and they had you guys float on top of your bags. And then I don't know, your training all came back. It was probably like one of those things where you're like,
it was the shock
it's
of
like a
being in the
vision.
water and then
Yeah.
like taking stock of the situation, and I could see my bag drifting away from me
I feel
as
like the
I'm holding
brain
onto
just
the
goes,
canoe.
fuck, 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 fuck.
So I was like, I gotta get my bag. I swam to
Yeah.
my bag and I'm holding onto it, and I'm like, oh yeah, these things float. I'm like, Jordan, grab your bag, and he's like, this thing's gone. It's just done.
Mm-hmm.
But he grabbed his bag, and that was a huge boondoggle. Like, because he did his the rightest way. He just had a
Okay.
garbage bag inside
Yes,
and
he always
everything in there,
does
and that's the
the garbage
biggest
bag
amount
lined.
of air. I had
Mm-hmm.
a bunch of dry bags in there, so between the two bags they floated. But yeah, we um many occasions I've for the army friends of mine listening, it was not survival training. I just picture them rolling their eyes.
Sorry,
I just
I've
want to get ahead of
yeah.
that so I don't have to deal with the chirps after the fact.
Jenna is not versed in any of the
I
terminology,
don't want them to
so
think that I'm telling you shit like So anyway, I'm a drone
He
pilot,
called it
and I'm a
survival
Siri
training.
expert, and I know Navy SEALs. No big deal. So yeah, we put our rucksacks inside our bivy bags and then twist them up like a giant garbage bag and tie them or zap strap them shut or whatever, and then you can swim your bag to shore from a boat or a helicopter or whatever. So I've done that a few times, and that's what came clicking back. I was like, oh my god, yes, we can. I don't have to fucking die. The next immediate problem was that we were flowing towards the Devil's Chutes rapids.
Yeah. Big problem.
Whatever they were called. Anyway. And then Jordan had a good point though. Worst case, we would have the bags would have been probably found somewhere on Lake Trevere. Because they would have went through all the rapids. I imagine after a while they would have gotten waterlogged and then sunk. But I'm grateful that we had our gear. If we didn't have our gear, we would have had to turn around and go home
immediately. Yeah.
And then we would have been out.
Immediately no.
Immediately no. Yeah. Yeah, the I guess what I was getting at earlier was we push and we were forced to take a day to do nothing so we could dry everything and then sort of collect our thoughts and stuff. And it felt like a reminder that slowing down is okay too.
Yes.
Not always just fucking drive. Because I'm confident, I showed on the map there was that rail bed behind our campsite. So we climbed up to this rail bed. It was on top of the hill, and then we walked it going west, and it crosses the Petawawa River at a much wider spot, and the water was way deeper and it was way faster than even the spot that pushed us into the water.
Yeah. I mean, the couple videos he showed me, it's an alarmingly fast rate of flow.
And I mean, this is the same. I'm pretty sure it's the Petawawa River that you cross going on to base in Petawawa.
Okay.
And I mean, that thing is wicked fast when it gets going.
Okay.
And like I said, it's early in the season. There's all the winter runoff. It's raining. Turns out there's a fucking huge tornado on the way. And just going back to that,
and the road washed out or something. Eventually, is that true?
There was a washout. I know he mentioned one.
Okay.
I think there was I think it was on the drive-in, or there might have been a washout off of this rail bed too.
Okay.
But anyway, the point is if we didn't capsize there, and then head to our campsite and dry off and do that, if we kept pushing up the river, I think something much worse would have happened.
Yeah.
I think the capsize event, because the river was wider, so getting to safety would have been much more demanding.
Oh yeah.
And so I think all in all, like, we were meant to fall in the water there, so that we didn't carry on, and we ended up being out of the park when everyone else is getting fucking tornadoed on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just, but yeah, it was an uncomfortable experience.
Right. Do you think it was like God, wake up call sounds so dramatic. How can I say that in a less fucking
yeah
super dramatic fashion?
Did it make any light bulbs go off? Do you think it was a message?
Yeah, like was it do you feel like there was a message, fucking talking to spirits in the wilderness? I, mean, I don't know. Was it a good sorry, say that again.
The Giving Hawk.
The Giving Hawk, yes.
Which is probably going to be the name of this episode.
The Giving Hawk. Yeah, like, do you guys plan to do these again? Will you go a different time of year? Like, what did you talk about?
Well, we're definitely not going to do big rivers, I don't think.
Okay.
Canoeing up river is definitely going to be a no.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think shooting down towards the rapids would have been more favorable, or?
It's hard to know. I don't know.
On this
I think
particular weekend, I think everything was a fucking crapshoot.
Yeah, I think so. I think future trips will be probably still tough. The tough part, I think, is the portaging. The paddling can be difficult when you're doing it for 4 hours straight.
Yeah. In the wind.
Yeah.
In the rain.
And I mean, it rained that Obiango trip too. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
Like these are not like individually, and some of them collectively. We've experienced them all before.
Okay.
We've gone upriver. We've paddled in the rain. We've paddled
had tastes of all of these.
Yeah, and then events, it just seemed like all of it was all at once, kind of thing.
Yeah.
We'll
Perfect
definitely
storm,
if you will.
Yeah.
I think when we plan next year's trip, this will be a factor. But I don't think we're going to stop. I don't think we're going to slow down. I think we'll just sort of change our approach. So maybe trying to do longer legs won't feel as necessary anymore to make it worth our time, kind of thing.
Like maybe do like 20 kilometers in a day.
Maybe even
and feel
maybe
like that's
even 19.
Could
be 18.
Some say, yeah.
And it's hard to, and maybe we'll look at different areas besides Algonquin Park too, because it's getting harder to get to newer spots that we haven't been to see,
unless you're traveling like 6
and we don't want to go
to the other entrance point.
The West End is tough, and the Highway 60 corridor is tough too.
Yeah,
because that's where all like
it's high traffic.
Well, it's a high traffic area, and you don't want to be surrounded by people when you're on these trips.
When you're going into the middle of the woods and then end up with a neighbor that you don't like, come on.
Yeah. If we're not the loudest people on the lake, I don't want to be there.
I'm trying to think of, I think it was, okay, so are we allowed to talk about the camping trip that the 4 of us have planned?
Sure.
Or is it like bad?
It's too late now.
Bad omens or whatever.
Oh, no. You brought it up.
There's a lake. You guys have put in on this lake before. I'm going to see if I can find it. Show me the map. Here. There we go. Oh, is it going to let me zoom? What is this lake? It's at the Whitney entrance. Galleri Lake.
Okay. Yeah. I don't think
Galleri Lake is it's like fucking Osheaga of lakes up in here. Like people were posted up. You could tell that they'd been there for days just because of the amount of stuff that was like on a clothesline. I'm like, these people have been here a while. And like cases of beer and stuff like that. I'm just like, okay, this is a different,
because that Whitney section is not even in the park.
Right. Like to enter Whitney is not initially in the park, right?
That's right.
For that first couple hundred meters, I guess. And then
because when the park rangers came through, they're like, you're not allowed beer. We're going to give you a warning. But
you're not allowed beer?
Not allowed cans and bottles and shit, I guess. I was like, get fucked,
even if you're taking it away with you?
Yeah. I was like, that's a dumb fucking rule. Doesn't apply to me, so I'm not following it. And it doesn't apply to me because we don't just leave our shit.
I've never heard of this before.
Yeah, I don't read the rules.
Oh my god, sorry. My fridge is making some wild ass noises right now. I think the freezer is like it overfroze.
Oh yeah.
So I have to unplug it and thaw it.
Anyway.
So if there's some robot sounds in the background, that's brutal. This is
it. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, so I've had I don't really like I don't mind talking about what happened. I just don't like talking about how I feel about it because I don't know if I'm feeling the right things about the trip.
How to feel about it? You
That
don't know how
incident,
to
yeah.
feel about it?
Like to
Okay.
me, it felt pretty fucking close to being a really bad situation.
It was like borderline. Yeah.
Deadly.
Yeah. I think that's a
Um,
fair estimate. I mean, considering all the reports that came in following that weekend, especially like that Sunday, it would have been like Saturday night overnight. Um Things were ugly and they were just getting worse.
yeah.
So it didn't seem like it was a good place to be. It was not a good situation to be in, you know what I mean? So I think you guys definitely made the right call. But as far as like how to feel about it, like you're gonna feel the way you feel. It, like you said initially, you're gonna have uh like you had adrenaline rush, a fear of death, you had all these like physical things happening that are unavoidable, and then there's going to be a fallout related to that, and everybody has different ways of coping and dealing with all of these kind of events. So it's, I don't say it's impossible to know, but like even if you went with like if two twins went together who were raised in the same house and quote
Yeah,
unquote
yeah.
lived the same lives, went together and this happened, they would have different feelings about it and different sort of like post event.
Sentiment.
Yeah,
I'm so good at rhyming. And I think too, like I was like, okay, we're in the water and I can't touch the bottom. I'm swimming now.
mm-hmm.
And I didn't really take
And how do I get out, I
well,
think would
and
be
that
the
was it. It was
next.
just the first task was get to shore.
Mm-hmm.
And that was all I was thinking about. I thought about
Mm-hmm.
the boots for a hot second, but then Jordan said he found the rocks, and then we were
So that
so
happened fairly quickly.
it
Like how long
probably
was this
happened within the
event?
span of 2 minutes. Say
Okay.
it felt like a lot longer,
Right.
but it didn't take that long at all. Um,
Okay.
so like between falling in, going, all right, this is happening, and then recognizing that all I need to do right now is swim. That's the only thing I'm thinking about is
Yeah.
swimming.
Yeah.
And then we're standing there on the rocks and we're okay, our chances of success just went up a bit. This is great. And then we
Mm-hmm.
got to the shoreline with Jordan, and I was like, in all that time, I didn't really have an opportunity to appreciate what was going on. I just
Mm-hmm.
knew it had to be done next, and
Mm-hmm.
that's all I was thinking about.
Mm-hmm.
And then so I spent the next 2 fucking days going, man, that's it
It
feels
was a
like it was
brush with death.
a really dangerous, yeah.
A
Yeah, it was
brush with
pretty
a really
scary.
dangerous near-death experience.
And I know plenty of people
If
that have
if
died in
nothing else,
rapids too.
you know people who died in rapids.
Yeah, man. Like,
Jesus.
so I was like thinking about it a lot. I don't
Yeah.
know. It made me
During,
not want to go in
like,
fast moving water again.
is your brain doing that while like in the moment? Is it like you know people who've died, like your anxiety spikes and it starts like reminding you of everybody you know who's died, or is that something that happens afterwards? Like,
Well, I won't say it's
was
something that happens categorically like that. Like, I think
sure.
that's the case. For me, it was just sitting down and ruminating about it, or just kind of like processing it, going, "Damn, yeah, uh, you know, uh, at least one soldier at the regiment died in the rapids, and we
Jesus.
had a regimental memorial." I was like, I couldn't imagine people putting on their uniform because I wasn't wearing a fucking life jacket, like that kind of shit.
Mm,
I felt
mm-hmm.
really dumb about not wearing the life jacket. And normally we bring the life jackets and clip them to the seat.
Yes.
And if we'd have done that, even that was a workable thing because we could unclip them and put them on,
Mm-hmm.
even while you're in the water. Like that's a
Mm-hmm.
doable thing to do.
Yeah.
And if people disagree with me, trust me, if you unless you've been bobbing, you don't appreciate the subtle art that is life jacket donning and doffing while you're in the water.
Yes. Whilst submerged in water. Yeah.
Whilst. And so, yeah, that was a pretty wild weekend.
Genuinely, yeah, you guys were in the wild doing some wild ass shit. I think the resounding sentiment on the end of the families of all of you is that thank fucking God you were smart enough to know when to stop. I think
Yeah.
is the key. It like didn't make sense to me that Jordan was texting me because like he sent me a text and then I replied and then it's ... I'm like, how are you texting me right now? I'm like, something is wrong. But I was like, okay, he's texting me, so he's okay. But that doesn't mean everybody's okay. Anyways.
Yeah, he was. We
and
had a
he's like,
conversation
yeah.
about reaching out at all.
Yeah, no, I think that you guys did the right thing. I don't think any of us would have wanted you to like come home anyways. I think yeah, everybody was just better able to hopefully enjoy the weekend as a whole.
Yeah, I think it was I think once we were out of the danger zone, we were able to enjoy ourselves, just chill on the rocks. I mean, honestly, I would camp at that spot again.
Okay.
It was a
So it's real
beautiful
nice.
fucking spot. There was like
Yeah.
coming off the rocks on the left hand side. There's this beautiful like natural little pool area,
Okay.
calm waters just south of the falls, and nice big flat rocks. There was sitting areas.
Yeah.
It looked like a swim up bar built by nature. It was insane. And Broom was fucking off in the rapids over here, like swimming. You know, like when you throw a baby up in the air and you catch it, kind of thing. Like he would jump into the water and it would bring him right back to the rock he jumped off of.
Oh my gosh.
I did it once and then I was okay to like get out of the moving water and
You're
just
like, I don't want to experience this again.
Yeah. Too soon.
Too soon. Yeah.
I think we're all appreciative. I think we're all mostly over it, okay with it, whatever kind of thing.
Sorry to add to what I was saying, I think you guys all needed time to sit and just process what had happened also. In whatever way you need to do that, because like again, that's something that we don't often have time for in life, for anything that's
so
kind
true.
of like negative or bad. You know, you think of grief, people get leave, usually like bereavement leave. It's like 2-3 days. You're like, how many people are processing grief of a loved one in 3 days? Like, it's just not.
No, it's enough to pull yourself together and pretend until you do process.
Yeah, you have 3 days to cry and be sad, and then the rest. Now you have to come back to life. So things like that, you know, you don't often have time to process. And although this obviously wasn't that, thankfully, it was still something that I think all of your brains needed to like readjust, you know, before being in real life. That's why like messaging us wouldn't have it wouldn't have changed or made sense. It looks like you have a campfire in front of you.
I'm trying to I always find like 2/3 of the way through the show, like I lose all the natural light in the room.
Oh, it's
and then the camera gets like, really fucking fuzzy.
Okay,
this camera's so trash. I should have
like
returned it.
Trash.
But I think it's too late.
We'll upgrade to like a Sony or something fancy. What was I saying? Yeah, so I think you guys just like were disconnected from all of the worldly things, and you were all able to kind of like have that time that we're not often graced with. So I think that was good.
I'll show you the picture afterwards. I just won't put it on the camera. Sure. But they named him Calvin James Chin.
Calvin, what a cute name.
My name's Cal. Do you remember that? What show was that?
That sounds like South Park, but I don't know.
Undergrads?
Oh my God, Undergrads? How did I forget this? Okay, hang on. Yep. Wow. Jordan's
Anyway.
gonna have to watch that with me again. Oh man, I forgot Nits, Rocco, Cal, and Gimpy. Holy moly. What a flashback. I gotta watch that.
Cal
again.
flashback. So
yeah.
Yeah, that's about it. That's the long and the short of it. That's the bottom line up front. Wear a fucking life jacket.
Wear a life jacket. But also still go on adventures.
Yeah, don't stop just because it gets dicey.
I think this is a perfect analogy, I don't know, example of that thing where if you don't go out and experience life, how can you possibly learn anything? Right.
And like, I feel like the less you do, the more terrifying the prospect of more things becomes.
Oh yeah, I'm sure we all know people in our lives who like won't leave the house.
Were you about to talk about Joan Cusack and Shameless?
No.
You know the lady that's pegging what the fuck's his name? Their dad in Shameless. What the fuck's his name?
I don't remember.
William H. Macy? He plays Dudley in Wild Hogs?
Yes, William H. Macy. Yeah.
Anyway, Joan Cusack, she's an agoraphobic.
Frank Gallagher.
She won't go outside. And the longer you don't go outside, the more terrifying it becomes to face that thing and try to overcome it.
Yeah.
You just keep building it up in your head. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I wasn't thinking of her at all, but that's like exactly that. What's that quote? The fear of
fear of a name only increases the fear of a thing itself. You must be Hermione Granger. Is that the one? Is that the quote you're talking about?
I think so. Like, I don't know. But it's not so much the fear of the name in this context. It's like, yeah. Don't be afraid to try things.
Yeah, you're like you're creating the problem.
Yeah.
By
it's self-made.
Yeah, self-induced.
People are like doing all kinds of wild shit and surviving all the time. And I'm not saying people need to go out and do that, but like going for a walk around town, going to a new city, like bad things happen, but like you can't not live.
Yeah, for fear of anything. You might as well be Bubble Boy. You turn into some eccentric who just never leaves the house.
Yeah, and then you could die by fucking CO2 poisoning. So like,
yeah, your own farts just gassing you out.
Don't be so silly. Go out, live life. Anyway,
yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
I think I'm gonna go cry.
Go cry. Yeah, have a good cry.
Just appreciate my life.
Yeah, hug your kids, hug your wife.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, make good decisions, folks. Plan ahead, and if there's going to be a tornado, stay off the water.
Change course. Yeah.
Change course. Yeah, change tack. Thanks for coming out, everybody.
Thank you so much. Thank you for listening. Please tell your friends about us. We would greatly appreciate it. Yeah. Anyways, we'll see you next time. Toodles.